Welcome to the first ever episode of our Leaders Pause podcast. We are on a journey of a 4 episode series, and today we are going to be looking at something very, very special. And what is this all about? Is the genesis of it. It's going to be about reviewing and reflecting. And we're actually talking about the review mirror. The review mirror. As at the beginning of the year like this, a lot of people are thinking about how they can make the year the best, how they can be able to learn from their past years and the yesteryear experiences. And a lot of people are looking forward to get the best of decisions. A lot of people are looking forward to make the best of decisions. And a lot of people are looking forward to just be the best versions of themselves. And it is actually from this that we are bringing to you this series. And today we're going to be looking at the first part of the series, and it's about the review mirror. And this is we're going to be looking here at the review and reflect concept. Honest assessment at the beginning of the year is very important, and it has to do with interactive improvement. How was the year? What were the goals? How many did you achieve? The ones you did not achieve, what happened? And then you realign those goals again to see where you went well and where you did not go well, so you can actually look forward to the next year, so you can get things done. And so the goal of this episode today is actually to shift the leader's mindset from the guilt over the past to what we actually call data for the future, right? And then we are looking forward to view mistakes as bugs to fix, not character flaws to be hidden. I want to say that again. We're looking forward to view mistakes, maybe the ones we made last year, 2025, as bugs, right? As challenges, as errors that you got to fix them, and not as character flaws to be hidden. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be afraid about those things you screwed up in, but you just have to see everything as a lesson and moving forward to the future. What can you do better? What can you do best this time around? And so, like the scripture anchors it very well in the book of Luke 10, verse 17 and verse 20. I will read. The 72 returned with joy and said, Lord, even the demons submit to us in your name. He replied, Do not rejoice that the Spirit submits to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. So, friend, today I have with me here in the studio a very, very, very special guest. He is a leadership coach, he's a trainer, and he has a lot of experience doing this. And I think we had no any other person who could fit in for this first episode today more than our guest. And this is not any other person but Humphrey McKinsey, the founder of McKinsey Catalyst. Welcome, Humphrey.
Hey, thank you, Oliver.
Beautiful. So happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So how do you see the year 2026, sir?
I see 2026 as a year of opportunity. I think that's the reality of how we need to be thinking about the future, right? The future is always an opportunity to be better. And to me, that's what this series is kind of foundational to. It's kind of based on the fact that we should spend time looking backwards to understand, what happened and what can we do better. But the intent of looking backwards is so that we can focus on what's ahead and be prepared for the things to come.
This is so beautiful. And I'm so excited having this conversation with you. I've worked with you personally, and I know what you can deliver. And you really one of the persons that I respect so much when it comes to goal settings, accountability. And I think to our listeners or our audience listening to us right now, I just want to charge you, pause for a moment, get a pen, get an agenda or some writing pad, because we're going to have some very exciting and engaging things that will really help you to prepare and win in 2026. Like our guest already said, 2026 is a year to win in your business, in your marriage, in your career, in your finances, in your health. And he's going to be on unraveling a lot of other things that he was able to do for 2025 that worked, and also where he failed, so you can also learn from the experiences. So, why is it important for us to talk about reviewing and reflecting, Humphrey, in this very first episode of this series, The Leader's Pulse?
Yeah. So as Oliver described, this is a 4-part series, and the first step in that is review/reflect. And the reason that this is important is because many times we get to the end of the year, and as leaders, we look back and we say, "Wow, that was the worst thing ever. That was a crash scene. I didn't achieve anything that I was planning to achieve," and then you just want to walk away from the wreckage. But the reality is that as we think about life, every failure is an opportunity to learn. And I think that's the concept that we want to share today and discuss today, is the concept of reflecting on our past, meaning what happened, the good and the bad, so that we can learn from those things and pursue the best for the future.
I love that. Interesting. And it is very fascinating to know that, like you mentioned already, this is a kind of a 4-part series, and each episode we're going to be bringing in some gems that can actually help you to win in 2026. And I think it will be interesting for our listeners to also, and audience to also know the 4 parts that we're going to be talking about. Of course, today is the first. So today we're actually looking at episode 1, which is review and reflect, and that is going to be our focus for the next minute. And then away from that, episode 2 is going to be talking about rest, recovering strength. That is very, very important. And from resting and recovering strength, we're going to be diving straight to episode 3, which is the realign. It's going to be defining the vision. Everybody has a vision, and God has given each and every one of us a vision. How can you define that? It is very important, even as you dive into 2026. And the last episode on this particular series is going to be about restarting. And it's all about counting the cost before you dive into it. And so, friend, today, get yourself ready around the table, get your seat around the table, because we're diving into the first ever episode, of course, which is episode 1, review and reflect. So, coming back to you, Humphrey, you had goals for 2025, of course. Maybe you had different type of goals on your health goals and family goals and financial goals, and of course spiritual goals. And so, before we get that, what can you tell our audience on the importance of setting goals, even at the beginning of the year like this? And again, a lot of people set goals and they end up not achieving them. So why should we set goals again after we did not probably achieve some of them?
As we think about the concept of setting goals, John C. Maxwell has a quote, and it basically says, "Experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is." Right? And so, as you talked about, we usually have a concept of setting goals, which is good, meaning you have to know where it is that you're trying to go. But the value of actual setting goals comes when you reflect on what happened, so that you can grow through your goals, right? So an example of this for me, is Oliver indicated, I set goals at the beginning of this year. I set goals for health. I set goals for my faith, my family. I set goals for the things that were important to me. And it was a process that I went through that was tied to, again, my own business development and my own leadership growth, personally. And so as I think about, the things, one example of that is I set a goal at the beginning of the year that kind of was centered on, I'm going to say, exercise and health, right? It was my health. I had a health scare at the beginning of the year. And so for me, that became a pretty, I guess, important part of my goals, my vision for 2025. As I stepped into that, I actually have a machine that I use for working out. It's kind of like the mirror machine. It's called the Tempo, and what it does is that it tracks each of the workouts that I do. And so my goal was um, 3 workouts a week of at least a half hour. And so I set the goal at the beginning of the year. And fortunately for me, my Tempo actually tracks whether I performed and I engaged in that process. And so at the new year, I got a readout. So I got a readout of here's what you did for 2025, and it was valuable to see that I had actually improved in my health. I had improved in my consistency in working out. All right. Now that's one good thing. Okay. Another goal that I set was around business development. Okay. And for me, I'm going from being in corporate America to being an entrepreneur. And so there is a change in your mindset that you need to have as you pursue your own entrepreneurial activities. One of the big reasons is because it's all about what you do, right? When in a corporate environment, you're working with other people, you have some goals that are set that you're working for the corporate goals, etc. When you're an entrepreneur, you're setting and executing your own goals.
Mm.
And so as I look at the pieces of it for the entrepreneurial side, I realized that I need to do better in my mindset as it relates to entrepreneurial engagement, right? And I need to do better at networking. I need to do better at engaging and growing my client base, right? And so there are things that have happened in my business pursuit that I have to learn from and then use that going into 2026 to reinforce the things that I want to focus on to help me to be a better leader.
Interesting. And so this is what a shift and what a narrative. And looking into this, Humphrey, how do we reflect? Like, you before you set your goals, you
Yeah.
had to reflect on what went well and what did not go well in
Right.
the last or previous year.
Yeah.
How do you reflect when you are
Yeah,
setting goals, new goals?
absolutely. So in the 15 invaluable laws of growth,
Mm,
John C. Maxwell kind of outlines a process. He actually has a law, it's the law of reflection. So
mm,
so it's a concept whereby we focus on understanding what happened, right?
mm,
And that's the first step. So we do some investigation, we look at the data.
mm,
And my encouragement as we think about this step is to be honest with yourself as you look back at the data,
mm,
right? Many of us have a tendency to either be overly negative
mm,
about our accomplishment or overly positive about the things that we've done in the past. And really, the focus should be on being honest with our assessment of ourselves using the data that we have, right? I've had clients that come to me and we have a conversation and they start to talk about how poorly things are going. And then I ask a few questions about, hey, well, what about this? What about that?
mhm,
And then they shift their thinking because they realize it's not as bad as they thought.
mm,
It's not as good as they wanted,
mm,
but it's not as bad as they thought.
mm,
And so now their mindset is around being honest with the data so that then they can start to craft and draft and prepare what to do next to get better. Right.
mm,
So, first step is investigation, looking back and understanding the data. Second step is incubation. And
mm,
that's what did I feel? Like, where did I experience the most joy? Where did I experience the most frustration and the annoyances? What were the things that impacted me?
mm,
Because then that flavors how we view the things that we need to pursue going forward as well.
mm,
Because you want to put as many things that bring you joy
mm.
into the
Yeah.
framework
Mm,
for the next year, right? And so as you think about incubation, it's about understanding. It's about translating from investigation into what did I experience during this year, right?
mm,
The third one is illumination, and illumination is really insight. What did I learn,
mm,
right? What did I get additional awareness of, right? So for me, I spent a lot of time this past year on, I'm going to call it self-assessments, right? Understanding who I am, right? I did an Enneagram assessment. I did a DISC assessment. I did all sorts of evaluations of myself because I wanted to have a better understanding of who I am so that I can address, again, the things that I would deem to be areas that I'm not as strong in. Then I can focus on, not letting them be the drawback, let them be the anchor that holds me back, right? But I can look for ways to, I'm going to say, navigate those better. And then for areas of my strength, I can build on those and I can grow those areas and make those even better, right? And so we've talked about investigation, incubation, illumination, which is the insight. And then the last one is illustration, right? And that's really, how do I apply this? What actions do I want to take coming out of this, right? And so as you get into a period of reflection of 2025, you should have those constructs embedded in your thinking to investigate, look back, what happened in 2025, incubation, what emotions, what did I experience this past year, illumination, how did what insight did I gain from it, and what insight can I gain, and then illustration, what actions do I take, how do I apply this to my goals for 2026.
That's so beautiful. And as you're talking, I was thinking, I read a book lately, and the author was talking about the fact that it was about discovering your giant, becoming the best version of yourself. The author was giving an illustration where he said, most of the time, when you focus so much on your weaknesses, it always leads you never to achieve anything. But when you focus on your strength, you can definitely achieve anything you want to have. And he was urging the readers to focus so much on their strength. Looking at it, Humphrey, I mean, this conversation is very important. Like, to me, like, it's about honest assessment and continuous improvement. Now, imagine somebody out there who struggles so hard on herself or himself alone, trying to achieve some particular goals, and it did not really go. Maybe because there are some people that need to come in to assist, to provide help. When do you think, let me start with, why do you think it is important to identify talent, to identify people who have your opposite strength? Maybe you have a weakness in particular areas or aspect, but there are people that will have the strengths on that particular thing. When do you think is the right time to bring in different talents to help you in achieving your goals?
Right. I think it's always important to have strong self-awareness. And that's what I talked about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Is that one, you know yourself, you know the areas of your strength, you know the areas of your weaknesses, right? Now, once you know the areas of your weaknesses, then the focus should be on, what do I need to be doing to supplement, to get better at in these areas of weakness, right? And that, to your point, Oliver, that's where you may have to reach out to other resources or to other people that can help you to kind of grow in a particular area so that they can help you in the area of weakness. So for me, I would say one of my weaknesses was, as we think about the concept of social media marketing, right? I'm an old man. I don't do that so well, right? So what I looked for in 2025 was actually connecting with my daughters to kind of help me to do better.
I love that.
at social media marketing, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a social media marketer. I'm not looking for getting on screen but I realize it's important for business development, right? And so because it's important for business development and it's not a core skill, I have to look for people to engage with me to help me to beef up those particular areas. And it could be in any facet of your growth, right? So that's an important aspect to have, is an understanding, so that then you can pull in those partners that can be most beneficial.
Oh, that's exciting. And I love the fact that you know, but I also see you have a lot of things to do, Humphrey. You're a very busy man. I know you're coaching, you're speaking, you're training, you're mentoring, just a lot of stuff on your table. And you may not have the time So like, hey guys, sign up for this or for that, and you're like, okay, but there is someone already, your daughters, right? They are very good at it, like, and they can do that very well, and they will
Yeah.
do that happily.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, instead of me trying to focus again on this and that, and it would take more time to, of course, arrive at a destination. Maybe let me delegate it or realign this with this person who can do that. And
Absolutely.
and a lot of people find it difficult, Humphrey, delegating. A lot of people also find it difficult bringing in people. And we live in a capitalist economy where people want to do things themselves, right? In
Oh, yeah.
America, like people most of the time they don't want to ask for help because it feel like, and this is something you've been teaching me on, Humphrey,
Yeah.
but they feel like asking for help is a weakness, and that's how I used to look at it.
Right.
I never knew that it was a strength when you
It is a
ask for
strength.
help. Hey, I'm drowning. I need somebody to rescue me. Why? What do you have to tell people who are like me before? They don't want help. They just want to do it themselves, and if they fail, they fail.
Right. And I think for me, understanding the importance of people and
Mm,
the importance of asking for help. As you said, we've talked about this, is
yeah.
where people look at asking for help as a weakness,
Mm-hmm.
right? We look at it as I'm I'm some I'm somehow less because I need help,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
I think culturally, and especially in the U.S., it's
mm.
like that also is a you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Everything is kind of you just get in there and you get it done, right?
There
Um,
we go.
and so there's this perspective that we can all work independently with no help from anybody else to do
Mm,
anything, right? And what's really funny is that is as we think about our faith, right? When we become self-reliant and self-sufficient, we lose our connectivity with God, right?
mm,
God doesn't call us to self-sufficiency. He calls us to God sufficiency,
mm,
right? And so as we think about the concept of asking for help, right?
mm,
I think we should think about it also in the context of our faith. We need to be willing to ask God for help when
mm,
things aren't working out, and we need to ask people for help
mm,
when things are working out, because God placed people
mm,
into the world and into our lives to help us to be complete, right? The church isn't one individual over here doing their thing. The church is a body of believers
mm,
that are working together towards a goal, right? And so as we think about asking for help, right, it's important that we frame that in the context of living by faith,
mm,
right? Living in a way that God has called us to live, which is interdependency, meaning
mm,
we're interdependent on each other
mm.
to be successful. No man is an island, and although I'm from an island, so, but but no man is an island
Mm,
independent. We
mm,
all have things that we're good at. We all have things that we can improve on.
mm,
And if we live our lives, yes, we may achieve the things by learning a lot of different things and
mm,
having our hands on a lot of different things, but we lose our effectiveness
mm,
because we're working in areas that we're not as good at, and
mm,
that's okay.
mm,
Right?
mm. This is interesting. And so when you're talking, I was just reflecting. I was like thinking about every day of our lives,
Yeah,
how each part of our body is helping the next to
yeah,
operate effectively.
yeah,
And I was just, when you talked about how God expects us to live as Christians too, I was just thinking about that. Like the church is just like the body,
yeah,
and each member of the church, like you say,
yeah,
is like part of the body of Christ.
yeah,
So the hand is helping the head to
yeah,
comb it,
yeah,
and all of that. This is very interesting, and I believe that a lot of people will be actually taking this nugget, because this is very important,
mhm,
even as we set our goals and achieve our goals in 2026,
mhm,
as we move into it. And I'm excited about this particular year, and I love how you describe the
mhm,
year, a year of, you talked about it as a year of great things, and and I'm excited about the great things that we're going to be doing this year. And so, to you, Humphrey, what do you have to tell our listeners or people watching us right now in terms of if there's one thing that they have to take away from this conversation, what is going to be that one thing as they dive deeper into executing their goals or some setting them?
Absolutely. So as we think about our focus for this episode, it's really on reflection. And so if we ponder the concept of reflection, the takeaways that I'd like to challenge you is to reflect on 2025, but reflect on it with the mindset that you're in a mode of continuous improvement, right? So with the continuous improvement mindset, 2025 would never have been a failure, right? There may have been things that didn't work out the way that you wanted. There may have been things that you failed at.
Exactly.
But 2025 was not a failure, right? 2025 was just what happened in 2025. The reflection now gives you the ability to say, what happened in 2025? What went well? What didn't go well? And what do I need to do differently so that I can be better in 2026? Okay. The takeaway is I want you to focus on developing version 2.0 for you, right? 1.0 is 2025. It's done. Boom. Good, bad, the ugly. You take them all. Learn from them and focus on version 2.0 and where we go from here.
Oh my gosh. Like I cannot wait. I cannot wait for my version 2.0. I don't know about you, but I can't wait for this. And this is 2026 we're talking about. And it's so exciting to recording this, on the first day of 2026. So amazing. So amazing. And so Humphrey, this is very exciting as we come to the end of this conversation, a very interesting conversation. And I think there was no better way to begin the year than having this conversation about this amazing concept of reflecting and review. And that's it, friend. That was the leader's pulse. And today we're talking about episode 1 of our 4 series, and it was about reviewing and reflecting. And we focus on the review mirror, right? Review mirror, reflecting, taking 2025 as a year to learn from the ugly, the bad, the good, and then moving forward with your life into 2026 because you can't go back to 2025. And the focus is 2026, and that's why we are bringing this particular series. And that is it until we meet again. Remember, stay tuned and watch out for the next episode. And guess what? It's going to be episode 2. And we're going to be talking about the power of the pause, recovering the strength. And that's going to be the focus. And again, Humphrey McKinsey is still going to be our guest for this particular episode 2. And don't wait for it. Stay alert and stay tuned because it's going to be out anytime from now. And let us know what stood out for you in this particular episode 1. What did you pick from it? And what are you going to practice after listening to? Because that's the most important thing, taking action. And Humphrey, thank you so much for being here and for being a guest. And thank you so much, sir. And we cannot wait to have you again for episode 2. And that was it. Do you have some last word to our guests and audience, please?
Yeah. Just in the challenge to take action. Just grab a piece of paper right now. And then, again, what rhythm do you need for 2026? Question number 1. Question number 2 is what buggy behavior did you have? What do you need to stop? What stuff do you need to stop? And the third is what is working that you need to protect? So ask those 3 questions. What is the rhythm that you need, meaning the stuff that you got to start? What is the stuff that's not working, the stuff that you need to stop? And then what is working that you need to protect? Focus on answering those 3 questions and you'll have a good start for your 2026.
And when you answer these questions, you'll get ready for the next episode, which is going to be
Excellent.
recovering the strength. Thank you so much for watching and for listening, wherever you are. And thank you so much, Humphrey, for your wisdom and knowledge,
Thank you, Oliver.
sharing with the world. Until we meet again, my name is Oliver Nshom, and I'm looking forward to have you for our episode 2, which is going to be recovering the strength. Until we meet again, have a wonderful rest of the year, and bye bye.